Yo, what's going on? And welcome to another Duel Links video. Today we are going to be talking about how to farm, and specifically how to farm Dark Side of Dimensions Joey. Because initially, when I went into it with my farm deck, and it wasn't working. And I was like, what's going on? Most people I can just farm with the same deck. And this one I was struggling because he makes different plays than a lot of decks do. So first of all, if you haven't farmed before, then you need a core of 4 cards here. Now our first card and most important card is Gravekeeper's Vassal. He is going to change all of his battle damage into effect damage instead. Now you can get him by leveling up a Shizu to level 3. So he's very easy to get. You only need one of him, because our plan for farming is to draw through our entire deck before we finish the duel, so you will always get him. Now our next card here is Union Attack, and what this is going to do is we are going to target one face-up monster we control, and we are going to add up the total attack of all face-up attack position monsters we control onto that one monster. He can't inflict battle damage though, and other monsters can't attack. Now, we're going to be using this on Gravekeeper's Vassal because he doesn't inflict battle damage anyways. All of his damage is turned into effect damage. Now, this card here, you can see I have both of them in Prismatic. If you get your Karibo tickets that you can get every month fully leveled up, you can pull a Prismatic card with them, and I would recommend grabbing 2 of these because you're going to want 2 of them specifically for this type of deck. Now the final card, and probably the most difficult to get card, is Secret Pass to the Treasures. We're going to select one monster with attack that is equal to or less than 1,000, so we're selecting Gravekeeper's Vassal here. He's only got 700 attack. And then during the turn you activate this card, he can attack your opponent's life points directly. So essentially how Union Attack works is you only get the attack once you start the battle phase. So you can use these 3 cards in any order during your main phase, but you're just going to use Secret Pass to the Treasures on Gravekeeper's Vassal, and you're going to use both Union attacks. And then during your battle phase, depending on what monsters you have on the field, Gravekeeper's Vassal's attack is going to be pumped up super high. Your goal is to get above 10,000 attack, and then you're just going to attack directly and it'll do all effect damage, which is also important. So what kind of deck do we have here? You can see that I have a not a Gravekeeper. You can see that I have a Dark Lord deck here, because the thing that I was struggling with is normally I use 6 Samurais to farm people, because if you just set up 2 Shiens, then you just counter any spell or trap that they play and they don't ever get to do anything. Now the problem that I ran into is Shien has really low defense but pretty good attack, and Joey's main play is to crash his baby black dragon into your Shien, and then that allows him to immediately summon a regular Red Eyes Black Dragon, equip baby black dragon to it, and then he has a 2,700 attack monster, which can just swing over your Shien. And if you summoned a Shien, you probably used a lot of resources, so losing the Shien probably means that you lose the duel. The thing about Dark Lords, though, is they have very big defense numbers. So our goal here is to set up huge defenses. Now you can probably do this with other decks as well, just anything where you can set up big defense, because you don't actually have to kill Joey's monsters. You can leave them all on the field. The biggest monster, since he doesn't have an extra deck, so he can't summon Red Eyes Slash Dragon, which we can see here. He can only summon his Red Eyes, like the regular Red Eyes. That's his biggest monster, and by equipping it with Red Eyes Baby Dragon, it gets up to 2,700. So that's the biggest monster you could possibly have to deal with. He has some boost cards and some cards that lower your attack, so you want to be careful when you're actually fighting him in your battle phase, which is why I choose to just stay in defense at all times, because he doesn't actually try to attack you if he doesn't think he can win that turn. which if you have two giant defense monsters on the field, he never thinks he can win that turn, so he never plays any of his attack boosts. So what we have here is Ixchel, very staple Dark Lord card, lets us draw more cards, has 2,900 defense. Nastin, also very staple, lets us summon a Dark Lord onto the field. We just summon him in defense, and once we've done that, essentially our job for the duel is done. Joey can't win once Nastin is on the field unless you put it in attack. So you don't want to put it in attack, you just want to put it in defense. Tez over here is going to be able to save one of your Dark Lords from destruction. Really doesn't ever come into play. We just have Tez here as another Dark Lord card, because with Ixchel, we want to be using as many Dark Lord cards as possible to actually get her effect, because our goal is to draw through our deck and have this process be quick. We don't want to take a lot of time farming. We want to farm quickly and efficiently. So finally, we have Amdusk. Amdusk is going to let us discard it and another Dark Lord card to pick a Dark Lord card in our graveyard and put it in our hand. Often, I will use Amdusk to just add another Ixchel back to my hand so I can draw 2 cards again, just so I can get through my deck even faster. Ukobek is the only small Dark Lord card, and he just lets you send 1 Dark Lord from your deck to the graveyard, which can be useful if you have a Contact in your hand but no Dark Lord monster in your graveyard to summon. Dark Lord Contact lets you special summon a Dark Lord from your graveyard in defense position. So if we have an Ukobek and a Contact in our hand, then we can summon Ukobek, put Ixchel in the graveyard, or I would probably put Nastin because I'd rather draw into my Ixchels. I'll put a Nastin in the graveyard, use Contact on it, then we have an Ukobek and a Nastin on the field. Joey will probably kill the Ukobek, but once the Nastin's on the field, the duel is pretty much over. You have already accomplished your goal. Banishment of the Dark Lords, if I could play more of this card, I would. I only have 1 of them because I don't actually really play Dark Lords. You can just add 1 Dark Lord card from your deck to your hand. Very useful for just getting through your deck faster again. And then we have the Sanctified Dark Lord. I generally never even use this card. All you would use this card for is to negate something's effect, which Joey's biggest monster is Red Eyes Black Dragon. Not an effect monster, so you can't even use it on this. He does summon Copycat, and generally he likes to copy Nastin or Ixchel. But the thing is the Copycat only has the same attack and defense as Nastin and Ixchel, and he can't swing over your Nastin. So generally you never have to use this. If you use it on Copycat, it will just bring the Copycat back to 0 defense and 0 attack permanently. But you can also use this card to gain life, because the monster that you negate, you get life equal to its attack. Obviously, if you negate Copycat, you get 0 life, but if you negate your own cards, you can get life back. Probably won't ever need this, but it's in the deck just in case you need it. And then our random trap cards are Wall of Disruption. Wall of Disruption is just there because if we don't have a hand where we can summon a Dark Lord, Wall of Destruction can save our life for 1 turn, and then hopefully we can draw into a Dark Lord. And then finally, we have Straight Flush. I run exactly 2 Straight Flushes because Joey has a whole bunch of attack boost and attack lower cards in his deck that he likes to set down. Plus, he has 1 card that I've never seen him play while I'm playing all my cards in defense, but he does play them if you play them in attack, and it negates your next attack and forces a different monster to attack, which just ruins your entire plan with Gravekeeper's Vassal. So we run 2 Straight Flush because we're drawing through our entire deck. If I have had it happen where both of the Straight Flushes were the last 2 cards in my deck, so I needed to make sure there were 2, because if Straight Flush is the last card in your deck, you won't be able to play it. So you got to keep that in mind. What you do is right before the end of his last turn, where you're going to draw your last card, you just play Straight Flush. He'll have a full spell and trap card zone already just because he loves to put them down there, and it'll wipe his entire field, and then he'll have nothing to actually stop your Gravekeeper from winning the game. So this is our deck, and I like to make all my farm decks so you can use whatever character you want. I'm currently using Yami Yugi because I'm trying to get the spell or the skill Spell Specialist, which if you didn't know, farming characters like Dark Side of Dimensions Joey count as a legendary duelist, so you can actually get skill drops from battling them. Now our goal here when fighting Joey is going to be to get at least 8,000 duel assessment score. I just realized I don't even have the volume on. I should probably turn that on real quick. This game always likes to be real slow in the menus. So let's go ahead and turn on all the volume. It's probably eerily quiet. So we're gonna go over to the gate. Now, another thing to note when you're farming is a lot of cards. You can see I have 2 of this one, I have 2 of this one, I already have more than 3 of that one. You're pretty much concerned with getting 3 of every card. And a lot of times the card trader will also sell you, he'll sell you 1 of most of the cards. Now, this card trader is a little bit weird because he has Yujo Friendship, which is not a card that you can get to drop in the event at all. So you're probably only going to be able to get 1 this entire event unless something changes before the end of the event. And I already have 3 of this card, which you can get by farming the Yami Yugi that's also in this event. But like, you can buy one of these DD Seekers, you can buy a disposable learning device, you can buy this, you can buy this, buy this. So I can buy my 3rd of these, so I'm not concerned with getting another one of these. But if you'll notice, that ultra rare trap card is not there, which means that if you want 3 of them, you're gonna need to farm out all 3 of them. So I only have 2, so the last thing I need from Joey here is 1 more of these, and then I could buy my 3rd one of these if I want to or not. So when we're getting into the duel here, our goal is to get 8,000 duel assessment score. That will give you the maximum number of drops from Joey. You get 1,000 for each, or you get 1 drop for each 1,000 points you get. So if we get 8,000, we get 8 drops, and 8 is the maximum number of drops you can get. Now, if you look at our opening hand, it really sucks. This hand is horrible. And so the thing about playing 4 cards that are essentially useless to your deck, it means you're gonna brick. Now, I don't brick very often with this deck, but it does happen. So this might be an example of where we actually brick and we just lose. But we have a chance here. We have Ixchel, it'll let us draw more cards. Can we actually pull through here? I think the answer is no. We need to somehow play our contact. And he's summoning another Red Eyes, so we are going to lose this time. Which is fine. I guess we'll show an example of losing, just because it's gonna happen every once in a while. It's unfortunate that it's the first duel that we actually lost, because generally I have like a 95% win rate with this deck. So you're gonna have to believe me until I lose this next one as well. But the other reason why we make a specific farm deck, oh, I guess we also have Super Joey, but we don't care about him. We're just farming regular Joey. I think he has all the same cards as regular Joey. Yeah, I would like to duel this guy anyways. Okay, so I hopefully same thing won't happen, but it's not that likely. Essentially, we're just hoping for like 2 Dark Lord cards that we can kind of play together. That last one, we got pretty unlucky. 2 turns in a row we didn't get to play. So this hand is perfect already. We are immediately going to Banishment of the Dark Lords, which is going to allow us to pick up Dark Lord Contact. Then we are going to Ixchel into Nastin. And you can see our opening hand, we drew 4 cards. We know that 4 of the cards in our deck are useless, so Union Attack, Gravekeeper's Vassal, and Secret Passage. 4 of them are useless, so we'd expect 1 of 5 cards to be one of those. So if we could get 3 Dark Lord cards in a hand, we generally win. Now we do have a few other non-Dark Lord cards, like Straight Flush, so it's a little bit higher than that. But we're going to go ahead, summon Ixchel now, and the duel is won. At this point, we have already won. So now what we need to do is we need to get 2 monsters on the field. First of all, I like to play Banishment again, so I can search for another Ixchel. This just lets me get through my deck faster. It'll put the Banishment back in my deck, so I get to use it 3 times in the duel, essentially. And now I will also activate Ixchel's effect to play Dark Lord Contact, to summon Nastin. What we want on the field is probably Nastin and Ixchel, or 2 Nastins, 2 Ixchels. It really doesn't matter, but at this point, it's over. We just want to get done with the duel as quickly as possible. So we're going to go ahead, activate Ixchel, activate Banishment. We'll put Amdusk back in our hand because we can use Amdusk this turn. Then we'll use Amdusk's effect to get an Ixchel back from our graveyard. Now you can only use Ixchel's effect once per turn. So we're just waiting to draw more Dark Lord's cards to actually use Ixchel's effect more. And you can see he already has 2 back row. He's about to put down his 3rd one. What? I guess he really wants to summon a Red Eyes in defense mode? You don't really see that very often. I guess he's summoning another Red Eyes? He's just gonna... Okay, he summoned Baby. This is why you don't want to be in attack. Because if that thing crashes into you, then you have a problem. The other reason Dark Lords is good is because we tank our life points. And because our life points are so low, we actually get more duel assessment score when we win because we get a comeback victory. Now all we're doing here is waiting for another Dark Lord card so we can activate Ixchel. Second we see our Straight Flush, we just put it on the field and it'll stay there the entire time. He has nothing to clear back row. And we're just waiting for him to play his 3rd back row as well as us to get another Dark Lord card so we can draw faster. And soon we will be done. There's one more important part that I will note before we win, because if you mess this up, you will not win. And that's bad. Because if you don't win, then you will not get a good score. So we drop the Wall of Disruption and keep a Dark Lord card. He still hasn't played another spell or trap card, so I'm not going to activate my Ixchel right now because I want him to actually play a 3rd spell or trap card. And if we draw through our deck too quickly, he might not actually do that. There's our 2nd Straight Flush. I just put both down. Just never put 3 cards because you need your last slot to actually play your spell cards. And he's not playing another card. So this might get interesting here, because he's refusing to play a 3rd card, which he almost always plays 3. Okay, he's done it. So this is our last turn. You can see right here we have 1 card left in our deck. I like to turn off Toggle here, because he's going to activate all of his cards the second I do this, and it would otherwise prompt me to constantly activate my Dark Lord effects, which I don't care about. He actually didn't activate Grave Robber, which is odd. Usually he activates Grave Robber. So now we drew our last card. First thing I do when we draw our last card is switch these 2 into attack position. If you don't switch them into attack position, this card will not work. All other face-up attack position monsters you control. This card will not give you attack if you don't do that. So I definitely did it one time where I just swung into him, only did 700 damage, and I was like, hey, what the heck happened? And my other Dark Lords were in defense mode. It didn't do anything. I was like, okay, well, that sucks. So yeah, make sure that whatever defense position monsters you're using, first of all, they need to have a lot of attack, because that's what's important. So you could probably use something like a Blue Eyes deck for this. You could put a whole bunch of Blue Eyes in defense mode, or just anything that has high defense. But don't use something like Millennium Shield or Labyrinth Wall, because they have 0 attack, and you'll get screwed. So now, when we enter the battle phase, we played all 3 of our spell cards. You'll see this will proc twice, and we have above 10,000 attack now. This is important because the thresholds for damage that you do are 3,000, 5,000, and 9,999. So we want the maximum one, which is 9,999, which we'll get by that. Also, since we didn't do any damage to him, we'll get multiple awards here at the end. So let's go ahead and get past this part. Oh, we only got 7,900, so we missed out on that 8th reward. A little bit unfortunate. If I had more glossy cards or more prismatic cards, we would have a higher score. So you can see here, comeback victory. We had less life points, so we get more points. Cards on the brink, we had no cards left in our deck, so we get more points. Victory by effect damage only. If you don't do any battle damage to him over the course of it, you'll get this for an extra 1,000 points. Now we played 2 prismatic cards, each of them were worth 200, so we get 400 points. I think we probably played 2 glossy cards. I would like to have more glossy cards, because if we had played one more glossy card, we'd have the 8,000 here. Over 9,999 damage, worth 3,000 points. If you're only getting 5,000 damage here, you're getting like 2,000 points. You're not getting nearly this much. And then just for activating activating cards and doing specific types of summons, we'll get a few more points. Which is why maybe using a fusion deck or a synchro deck or something will also get you more points, because it's a new type of summon to add to this. You'll have like special summon, and then you'll also have synchro summon under it for another few points, like maybe 100 or 200 or something. But there, we get 7 rewards from Joey. If you're using a character where you don't have all the skills unlocked and you're trying to get a new drop, you have a chance to get a lot of these skills over here. So if we look at the one that I want, which is Spell Specialist, you can see that it is a Legendary Duelist or PvP Duel reward. So you can only get it at the end there from that drop. Arcana could also get it. So if I were to level Yami Yugi to max and I still didn't have it, I might start using Arcana to try and get it on him instead. So I'm always making progress in multiple facets. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this one. It was unfortunate that we lost the first duel, but like I said, I'm pretty sure I have like a 95% win rate with this deck against Joey. The important part is high defense monsters and sitting in defense. You also have to be careful about Copycat, because if you put a Blue Eyes in defense, you can look at Blue Eyes here, he's got 3,000 attack, so if he copycats your Blue Eyes, he's going to attack over your Blue Eyes with his copycat, and then you're going to have a problem. But you might be able to just sit with Blue Eyes White Dragon in attack mode, because like I said, the biggest monster he could possibly have is 2,700 attack. But he does have a few cards that can boost his attack temporarily. There are those dice cards. So he has the trap card that will lower your attack by 100 times his dice roll. And then he has the spell card that will increase his attack times his dice roll. So he might use those against you. But this is why I run straight flush. We get rid of all of those before the final turn. So that way he can't lower our attack on the final turn and make us do less than 10,000 damage. Plus, like I said, he does have a card that just straight up negates an attack. And he will negate your Gravekeeper attack when you go in for the final swing. And you will lose the duel, and you will be sad. So don't let that happen. Use 2 straight flushes. I think they're a common card in some box. I'm sure you can get them. Or if not, try and use something that can counter trap cards like Wiretap or Trap Stun. I can't remember if anti-magic arrows or whatever would work. I think anti-magic arrows would also work. I think they also work on trap cards and not just spell cards. So just look into it. If you don't have a Dark Lord deck, it's not a problem. You need big defense monsters, and you just need to, you want to get through your deck as fast as possible. You want this process to not suck. So that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm sure if you saw the deck at the beginning, maybe you didn't even make it this far because you were just trying to get a good idea. That's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.